I've talked to one person, and I guess there's different views on like, okay, you know, I've talked to one person, and I guess there's different views on like, okay, you know, the supernatural things of the supernatural like ability could only come from God. So the people that claim to do like, you know, witchcraft spells, that stuff doesn't come from it's fake.
Sure.
But if you but there's then if that's true, then why is there a mention of it in the Bible?
Well, it's real power. In fact, let me see if I can. I don't know if I can call up a slide here that has. There's 6 different types of unusual events. Here they are. Okay. These 6 types of unusual events you may come across in life: anomalies, magic, psychosomatic, satanic signs, providence, and miracles. So let me just go through these really quickly. These are all in chapter 8 of I Don't Have Enough Faith to Be an Atheist. And anomalies, that's something unexplained by natural forces, but it happens repeatedly. Like for many years, scientists didn't understand how a bumblebee could fly because its aspect ratio, in other words, its wings were too short for its body. And somehow it flew. It flew all the time. We just couldn't explain how. We later learned it had some sort of power pack on it that allowed it to fly. But for a while, it was an anomaly. It happened all the time. But we couldn't explain how it happened naturally. Magic, that's human sleight of hand, right? When David Copperfield makes the Statue of Liberty disappear, it's sleight of hand. It's still there, but you somehow it's an illusion. You don't know how he did it. Or someone cuts a woman in half, that kind of thing. It's an illusion, right? Psychosomatic, those are things that happen to you that have to do with your mental state. Like my co-author, Dr. Norman Geisler, years ago had this terrible allergy to flowers. Whenever he got around flowers, he would just well up and he couldn't, he'd sneeze and he couldn't function. And he went to preach at a church one Sunday and he walked up to the pulpit before service to get his notes out, and he noticed there were flowers around the pulpit, and immediately he started to well up, and he said to one of the elders, "Hey, you got to move these flowers. I won't be able to preach." And the elder looked at him and said, "They're plastic." And Geisler said to himself, "You just sneezed at plastic flowers. That allergy has to be in your head." He threw his allergy medicine away, and he never had a problem again. Now, I'm not saying all allergies are like that, but when it hit with him, it was psychosomatic. Satanic signs, that's what you're talking about. Satan has the ability to do some supernormal things, but not things that God can do, like create life. In fact, when God goes up against the Egyptian gods, basically Moses against Pharaoh, you remember that there's a point where the Egyptian magicians can do certain things. For example, Moses throws his staff down, it becomes a snake, and the Egyptian magicians can do the same thing, right? Now, how did they do that? I've been told that you can actually somehow stun or hypnotize a cobra that it would be really stiff, and if you were to throw it down, it would come out of that trance. Now, I've never tried this myself, to tell you the truth, but so there's a way that they can do that. But when it came to life, creating life, the magicians there said, "Hey, this is the hand of God. We can't do anything with life." Satan has power to do supernormal things, but he can't create life. If he could create life or resurrect life, then how do we know the resurrection is not actually misleading us? Satan did it, right? Divine providence, that's when God rearranges or arranges events through natural forces, but they have some sort of spiritual significance. Like, for example, the fog at Normandy, when the Allied forces attacked the Axis forces at Normandy on June 6, 1944, it was concealed in fog, which was unusual for June. It wasn't a miracle because fog happens all the time, but it happened in that context. It appeared to be perhaps God working through natural laws to conceal at least some of our attack. It wasn't a miracle. A miracle would have been if we tried to assault the beaches and bullets bounced off our chests. That would have been a miracle, right? The sixth kind is a miracle. That's when God intervenes to overpower natural law, raises the dead, heals the sick, he heals the blind, He calms the storm. And by the way, if you look at Jesus' life, Jesus does miracles in 4 areas. First of all, he's sinless and he can forgive sins. He can heal the sick. He can calm the storm, overpower nature, and he raises the dead. If you think about our lives here on earth, those are the 4 problems we have. That we sin, sickness can hurt us, natural disasters can hurt us, nature can hurt us, and ultimately we die. When Jesus comes and he does miracles in those 4 categories, you know what he's saying? I'm the Messiah. I can fix those 4 areas and will fix those 4 areas ultimately, so that you will no longer be infected with sin, you will no longer get sick, nature will not hurt you, and you will not die. So this satanic signs number 4 is true. There is demonic power out there, but it doesn't have the same kind of degree that God has to his power. Does that make sense? All right. That's why we're supposed to stay away from it, by the way.